Hi everyone, my name is Anika Verma and I'm the Chief Communication Officer at the Steamboat. For those of you who don't know, we interview various students who have showcased an interest in STEM and or leadership through exceptional means. And I'm pleased to announce our next student, Sri. Before we get started, I would like her to introduce herself.
Awesome. Thank you so much for an introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Shri. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan, US, and I'm so glad to be here today. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right, so I know that you started an organization called Med Today. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So I'm currently a senior in high school, and I think I started Met Today 2 years ago. I'm not really sure. It was like on a random day that I was like, I want to get this started. So Met Today is basically like a youth organization founded by the youth for the youth. And our mission statement is to kind of like inspire and educate the medical leaders of tomorrow because like we all know the medical field is kind of diverse and there's like so many opportunities and like so many different specialties and all of that. And as youth, especially like high school students, it can be really hard to kind of like navigate opportunities and just like find open doors to like opportunities, I guess. So that's kind of why I wanted to create Med Today, just to have like a platform where youth can kind of look at and find all the opportunities like regarding shadowing, volunteering, fundraisers, what else, like specialty talks from like guest speakers and all of that thing sort. And also kind of wanted like an organization, like to establish an organization where I can like contribute to the society through like kind of like a platform, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's basically who we are.
All right, so I think that today is definitely you covered a broad spectrum of things that you guys do. So would you be able to go in a little bit in depth about some of the things that you've done and like how they work and things like that?
Yeah, of course. So Met Today, I think when we started the organization, we kind of focused on like hosting like speaker sessions where we just invite like various medical professionals, not just like pertaining to medicine. We like invite uh like nurses, dental students, PAs, all of those kind of like specialties. Just to like, introduce our members to like a wide variety of like the different professions within the medical field. Uh, Besides that, we do host like volunteering opportunities, like anything that you can do virtually, especially. And our biggest thing that we did last year was like host a free medical camp. So, yeah, so I don't know if you've seen it on our page, but we did host like a free medical camp for like a tribal community in India, where we kind of just held like a sickle cell anemia awareness camp, which was followed by like free medical screening, and we gave out like medications. We conducted like free tests, like free medical advice, and we also like provided food and like diet charts for like sickle cell anemia patients. And that's about it. We were like kind of hanging out with them. So it was really fun to host a camp and give back to the community. And other than that, we host like smaller community service projects. So we also like funded the education of like a fourth grader in India as well. So we're basically sponsoring his education for like an entire year, and we might continue doing that depending on how well it goes. So yeah, that's basically mostly
So
what we do.
you mentioned that you're based in Michigan in US. So how do you work abroad, like to India? How do you host these events? Is your team of people that you work with in America, in US, in India? How is it?
Yeah, so I'm based in Michigan and my organization's also based in Michigan, but we do have like board members from across the world, mostly across the nation, like the United States, but we also do have people like abroad. So we have a few local chapters in like Pakistan, and then there's one in Texas, I believe, and a few more that I can't remember from the top of my head. But my goal is kind of to like uh I mean, if you're giving back to the community, it doesn't really matter where your community is. So my goal is to kind of like spread awareness wherever I go, or like globally at least. So we've sewn like menstrual pads, like reusable menstrual pads, and we've donated them to communities in Africa through a program. We've led like menstrual health workshops in Michigan, in person, both virtually and in person. and we've held camps in India. So we're kind of working on like spreading our efforts globally, but one step at a time.
Yeah, so it must be really challenging to work like across the country. So do you like take trips to India and then help host it, or do you have like how do you host those kind of things across like an entire nation, across oceans kind of?
Yeah, for sure. So I mostly try to find projects or kind of like start projects that are mostly virtual, I guess, just to make it easier on myself and my team. But I did happen to travel to India last summer, so I just thought it'd be cool to combine these projects along with my vacation. So that's kind of how that happened.
All right.
Yeah.
I've also looked at your Instagram account for Met Today, and you
hmm
guys do a lot of Instagram takeovers. So you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I completely forgot about that. But yeah, we host a lot of Instagram takeovers just because, everyone's busy. High school is tiring. So not everyone has time to like attend speaker sessions. And we do not record our sessions. Oh, sorry. Can you still see me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So we do not record our sessions just because of like privacy concerns. And it's just not possible, I guess. So that's kind of why we started our Instagram takeover series where like, healthcare professionals, they can just like take over our Instagram any day whenever they're free. They don't have to like, schedule with us. I mean, they do, but like, we don't have to coordinate it with everyone else. So it's just easy for us, the medical professionals and like members. So yeah, that's kind of how it started, and we just let them do their thing. And then we ask them questions, and if they're like a growing account, or like a professional, we do accept like collaborations where we post their like reels and stuff like that on our page just to like help them grow their account as well. So it's kind of like a mutual benefit type of thing.
So how do you find these like people and how do you like network with them? Like for anybody out there like trying to do this for their organization, how have you been able to connect with people and get them to do these Instagram takeovers? And Instagram takeovers can be quite challenging to like manage, like giving them the passwords and the things like that. So how do you keep it secure and everything?
Yeah, so in terms of security, well, obviously there's not much we can do beyond like a point. So I do have like a double two-step verification type of thing that we do. And we get a notification and we keep like a spreadsheet where we track everyone's location just to make sure we're not getting hacked or anything like that. And in terms of networking is a huge thing, especially in a field where you have no connections. So personally, I don't have any family members or like friends in the medical field, so I'm kind of all on my own. So that's kind of when I started Med Today. Well, yeah, to like help others network. So I kind of just like reach out to medical professionals on Instagram. I try to target accounts with like not so many followers, so like somewhere in the thousands, just because people with like million followers get a lot of DMs and it's kind of hard to like reach them. And I whenever I'm reaching out, I always DM and send out an email just because they have like their team who keeps track of their emails. So sometimes I get luckier that way, but yeah, it's just a matter of like cold emailing and cold DMing, I guess. A lot of people get scared when they like hear the term cold emailing and they're like, oh my God, what if I don't get a response at all? But I feel like as long as they understand that it takes a lot of emails to get, where you want to be, I think they'll be successful. So that's definitely a big thing that I learned.
I definitely agree with the cold DMs and things like that. Like that's how I reached out to you.
Yeah.
So and those do work a lot of times. So it's kind of nice to be able to collaborate with other people and be able to
Yeah, for
connect with
sure.
them. So can you
hmm
tell us like when did you start Med Today? Like how old is this organization and how you act like where you got the idea from? I know you mentioned like you wanted to network and you wanted to do this, but like how did you launch it kind of? Did you launch it with anybody's help? Do you have a co-founder, anything like that?
Yeah, so like I said, I think I created Med Today like 2 years ago. It was definitely after the pandemic where a lot of like volunteer programs and like shadowing programs were shut down or they changed their age limit or requirements to like 18 plus. So I had a really hard time kind of like exposing myself to the field and just like getting to know medical professionals. So I was like if I'm gonna find resources, why don't I just like, share it with everyone else? So that's how I started it. And I do not have a co-founder. When I started it, it was just me. And then I just asked my friends to like help promote it. And we're almost I think I would say 1K strong today. So yeah, we've grown a lot since then. What was the other half of the question again? Sorry.
I was like, how did you work on this? Where did you start? What was like your first stepping stones into launching Met?
Ah, right. So I'm kind of a firm believer if there isn't something that truly resonates with you, like out there, then create it yourself. So Met Today was like my passion project. I'm the only founder, so when I started it, I just started off by like DMing. Well, I obviously started off by like creating an Instagram account and just like following as many medical professionals as I could, and kind of just DMing them, like every single one of them. Like I had a script where I just like copy and paste it into everyone's DMs and email them. And I started getting responses, and I also decided to like form a team. So I sent out like a Google form, or like I posted on our Instagram page, and we got a lot of responses. And that's when I realized that there are a lot of people out there who are looking for opportunities, but just don't know like kind of like where to find them. So that gave me a lot of hope.
All right. So what challenges and obstacles did you face throughout your like 2-year journey with Net Today, and how did you overcome these obstacles?
Oh yeah. So starting a youth organization is no joke. There was like a lot of things I had to consider when I was establishing the organization. Like for example, not everyone that I DM'd responded. We were running out of like speakers for our speaker sessions, and like we didn't have enough people to do Instagram takeovers. And then junioritis hit me last year, so I had to take a quick break. And then our team kind of like they all got busy, so it was kind of hard to like coordinate meetings and just like plan everything. So, being a high schooler and managing like a youth organization is definitely a huge thing. And I feel like it's just the passion that keeps me going, I guess. It's just like, wanting to do what you want to do. And once you start seeing results of like your hard work, then there's no going back from there. Like you just keep going forward and trying your best without expecting anything in return.
All right. So I know you've mentioned that you have like one almost 1K followers and things like that, and you've like reached so many people and you connect with others. But is there anybody that like do you have like a team of people who like is working to, network with other people or host these speaker panels, or is it just you who like connects, tries to find more people and tries to host these events?
So it's mostly just me. I do have a team that kind of like, so my team consists of myself, and a few outreach directors and a few social media directors. And the outreach directors basically reach out to all of these people. So we kind of work together on that, and we have a podcast director who like hosts podcasts and like records them for me, just because I'm not really good at that. But other than that, for hosting speaker sessions, it's mostly me and my vice chair, Isha. So we kind of take turns depending on our availabilities. Um, but yeah, that's about it. And then we have a few people working on responding to DMs just because we get so many of those and it's kind of hard to keep track of them as one person. So yeah.
All right. So now let's move a little away from your organization and into like actually about you. So can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about like what sparked your interest in the STEM and how did it start kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. So I, to be very honest with you, I have no idea how it started. Kind of just like, one day I was like, I don't know what I want to do in the future. And then it was just a spark, you know what I mean? So, like since middle school, I've been interested. I knew that I did not want to pursue something like that has to do with math. So, science related fields like research, medicine, stuff like that. And in middle school, I was a student council president. So for student council, we hosted a lot of events where like people brought in or we brought in like speakers from STEM fields, and we actually had speakers from my high school that I go to right now come talk to us about like engineering, biomedical engineering, all of that stuff. And then in middle school, we also had this class called Disease Detectives, which is basically kind of like, um, sorry, my phone's about to die. But it's kind of just like a class where you dissect like organs, kind of like to learn about them, and then you have like guest speakers that people bring in and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, this seems like an interesting field, and that's kind of how it all started.
Yes, okay. We can definitely see it's a very exciting story, and like the these detectives class sounds so fun. Many people do not have these opportunities in their
Hmm.
schools and things like that. So I think what you guys are doing also, like, helping students in India and things like that is very kind of inspirational.
Hmm.
And moving from there, like about being inspirational, who's your inspiration in STEM? Or like is it a family member or like a student that you look up to, a friend? Where I know you mentioned that you like don't know anybody in the medical field specifically, but any inspirations that you have?
My inspirations would probably be all the first generation doctors on Instagram that I see, who are kind of like raw with their content. So like they share all their ups and downs, not just this glorious life of a doctor. So I really look up to them, and there's this account on Instagram. Her name is, I believe, Dr. Sarvani. We have interviewed her, and she's done an Instagram takeover for us. And her content is really inspiring just because she's also a South Asian who took a lot of gap years, and she used gap years to turn like she turned her gap years into like meaningful experiences, and that's kind of like what I hope to do. She also participated in a pageant during her free time, and kind of like connected that to medicine. So I felt that was really cool, and yeah, I don't want medicine to be my only personality, if that makes sense. I also want to be able to explore and kind of like enjoy life, you know what I mean? Instead of like
Yes.
being burnt out by the age of 30.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense because medicine's a quite challenging field and
Hmm.
there's so many years
Yeah.
of study after high school, like 6, 7 years of college, depends on what
Hmm.
you go into and specifics of that. So
Yeah.
definitely a quite challenging field that you're hoping to enter into. So
Yep.
into that, like what job do you see yourself in the future? Do you have a specific line that you're interested in medicine or
Well, not sure if my interview so far has made it obvious enough or not, but I obviously want to pursue a career in the medical field. But I'm kind of hoping to be a surgeon of some sort, so like pediatric or neuro, but we shall see. No one knows where life's gonna take us. So
yes, obviously there's a long journey ahead. So
yeah.
okay, let's take a little step back then. And
Hmm.
what clubs and other activities are you doing in that are related to STEM during your high school years?
Hmm. So, my freshman year was online, so I kind of got introduced to like all these clubs in my sophomore year, and I joined literally every single club that I could find, just because I wanted to like, get exposed to as many like careers and interests as possible. But junior year was where I kind of like narrowed down all of my clubs. I was the president of the president of three clubs, and those were GIDAS, which stands for Genes and Disease and Symptoms, which is kind of like a research club. We write abstracts for MiraCore, which is like our parent organization. And the the club is called Biology Club. Pretty self-explanatory, but we kind of lead like experiments in labs to kind of make biology more entertaining rather than just like, presenting off of slides. Um, and the third club I do is purely for entertainment. It's an student association. Um, the Indian Student Association at my school, we kind of perform at Multiculti, which is like our annual show. So I basically choreograph and teach dances to the club members. So yeah, those three are kind of like my main clubs at school. Other than that, I'm part of like a lot of different clubs for like friends, or just because my friends are in them. Like there's like a vegan club at my school, UNICEF, obviously, NHS. So yeah, BPA, Business Professionals of America, and HOSA. So yeah.
So I think that's a great thing because like I think HOSA also matches up even if you're
Hmm.
in that kind of field. of medicine because that's like competitive
Mhm.
events of things. I know it's kind of
Yeah.
fine, but are you competing in HOSA this year? And if so, how's it going?
No, actually this year I'm only competing in BPA just because the dates clashed last year, so I didn't want to complicate anything this year. So I'm not competing in HOSA.
All right. Is there any other like outside of school organizations that you're part of outside of, I know, I mean, you obviously run this youth organization, but any other youth organizations that you're part of or like volunteer organizations?
Yeah, so I actually religiously volunteer. I've been volunteering since freshman year, I believe. At like various hospitals. So I volunteer at Henry Ford in Michigan and St. Joe's in Michigan, and the University of Michigan's medical school or like hospital. So apart from that, I don't work just because my like club timings and extracurricular commitments take over most of my time. So instead of that, I do programs that kind of provide me with a stipend, which are like in Michigan, we have a bunch of like research-based extracurriculars. So I'm part of a lot of those and a lot of like teen advisory councils because I kind of like voicing my opinion. And yeah, that's kind of why I'm part of those.
All right. I think voicing opinions and all of that is super important because it shouldn't just be focused into this one field. Like you said, colors and personality are much needed and things like
Yep.
that. And being able to talk and communicate are really important
Mhm.
skills. So we're gonna move aside from all of this. So we want to know about your opinion. So what are some like STEM issues that you really care about, like disparities that you see in STEM or problems that you see arising, and what's your opinion on them?
Yeah, so one big issue that I feel like it's often overlooked would definitely be menstrual equity or inequity as an issue. Just because there's so many underserved communities out there who don't get access to like, hygiene products and like they don't know much about menstruation and there's just so much stigma associated with it. And it's not just, the stigma. It's like it's so bad that people can't go to schools or like jobs. People are dropping out. So it gets serious when like it really affects someone's life. So and I feel like not a lot of people talk about it. So that's kind of where my efforts go towards. So like I said, Med Today has hosted like menstrual hygiene workshops. We've posted in-person workshops too, where I lead the lessons or like presentations here. And we do donate pads to communities in Africa, India, South America, everywhere. So yeah, that's definitely something that I'm really passionate about.
All right. And now with like AI coming in and things like that, like what do you see their impact on the medical field or any other field in this case? But what do you think is like a positive, negative? I know it has both sides, but what's your stance on it?
I think AIs would definitely be a huge pro in the medical field, just because first of all, doctors get exhausted and AIs don't. So, especially with like robotic surgery and like, I feel like AI is gonna come in really handy when like, doing diagnostic tests or like MRIs. So science is always advancing and I feel like AIs are gonna be definitely useful in the future. And I'm excited to learn all of these new things.
All right. So what tips do you have for incoming like high school students looking to pursue the STEM field or the medicine field specifically? What do you suggest that they do?
Um, Hmm, that's a hard question because there's like so much advice out there, but my biggest advice would definitely be kind of putting themselves out there and seeing like what's out there for them. Like I said before, if there's something that doesn't truly resonate with you out there, then create it yourself. So don't try to confine yourself to like, just what's out there. Like if there's something that you don't like, then don't do it because you will not enjoy it. So kind of explore everything while you have the chance to try out everything, every sport, every club, every class. And if you don't like it, then it's never too late to change. You can literally change degrees and majors in college. So like don't worry about it. So yeah, just experiment and you'll definitely find something that you truly enjoy.
So you mentioned like, being able to experiment with our classes and choose them. So what classes have you taken throughout like high school that support your interests?
Um, Well, if you ask for advice, everyone tells you to like take all these AP classes. So that's also what I did. I took a bunch of APs from like AP Gov to like AP Calculus. And at my school, we they also offer the diploma program, which is like IB. I'm not sure if you know what that is. The
Yeah.
International Baccalaureate. Sweet. So yeah, our school is an IB school, so I do take a few DP classes or like IB classes. I take IB French and IB Bio just because I enjoy them a lot. Apart from that, I think my most favorite class would definitely be health sciences, for obvious reasons. We have clinicals and like we do dissections, we have suturing labs. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this class? It seems really exciting and interesting. And yeah, because I'd like to know too. And I think our listeners would like to know what kind of classes, what you're doing in these classes.
Yeah, of course. So at our school we have the career program and health sciences is part of it. So it's basically a 2-year course. You take it your junior and senior year, and you kind of apply to be in this program. So it's an application process with like a letter of recommendations and stuff like that. So once you're in the program, you kind of learn about everything like related to the medical field, from like your different organ systems to CPR certification to medical assisting courses. And you do get certified. So after that, your senior year, you go to various like hospitals and different departments to like shadow them. We call them clinicals. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, that's basically what it is.
All right. So what skills do you think are like most needed in the medicine field, or if you're looking to like, you're looking to go into the study in that, like what skills do you need to do well in this?
Um, Personally, what I've heard from like all of our speakers is that resilience and like, being able to bounce back is definitely a huge thing. Just because medicine is such a it's just such a challenging course. You know what I mean? It's such a long course of study for like 7, 10 years, including residency and everything. So you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and it's a hard curriculum with all of these exams. So if you're prepared to do all that, then you better be ready to like bounce back from obstacles because it's not gonna be an easy path. And if you're resilient and like if you know you can handle all that, then I think you'll be good to go.
Yes, I think it's very important to like, be able to bounce back, be able to like be resilient kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
I love the words that you used. And how do you like balance the workload that you have with your classes, your youth organization, and the other clubs that you're doing? I know you mentioned that like some of them you do for fun so that you have something to like relax yourself with, but still, how do you like manage all of this work?
I think it all hmm, it definitely kind of depends on like how you manage your time, and it really just comes down to like prioritizing things. So, freshman year is obviously where you experiment and find all your little interests. And once it comes to like junior year, I feel like you kind of automatically start to prioritize things and kind of like narrow down your interests from there. So that's kind of what I did. I make sure my clubs, like my in-school clubs, don't overlap. So we schedule them on different days. And then for ISA practices, they're like 2 hours every day for 6 months straight. So that was probably my biggest commitment in the fall. And for my youth organization, all of our activities are virtual. So it kind of I just work on them whenever I'm free. And my programs, I think my biggest weakness is kind of signing up for everything, thinking I'll have time for it, but then I never do. So kind of being bold enough to say no is definitely a big thing as well. So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have any other like things or any tips, anything you want to share about what you've done in your life in STEM?
Um, Probably just, there's this famous quote that I really look up to. It's by Mahatma Gandhi. It reads, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." So if there's something that's bothering you out there, then fight against it. Use your voice. Your voice is really powerful, and explore your interests. Life is really short, so put yourself out there and experiment. But yeah, thanks so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Yes, it was nice to meet you too. So I want to just thank Sri for joining us this week on our student interview series project. And if you're interested in getting interviewed by our team, be sure to check out the form shared in the description. And we're always interested and looking for students to interview. And we interview anyone between the ages of 14 and 22, but are always willing to make exceptions for exceptional grad students who are doing amazing work. And we hope to see you back here again on Monday for our next installment. So thank you.